My wife said she does not owe me sex. And she is right. She does not owe me sex just because I am her husband, but I cannot take it anymore. Sexual incompatibility is hell. I have been busy drafting divorce documents with my lawyer this week. I believe it's best if we separate because we became incompatible after some time. 4 years of marriage, both in their early 30s. Hormone test came up normal. I begged her for marriage counseling with sex therapy. I did everything she pointed out. She came with other excuses. Since the beginning of the relationship, we take turns handling laundry and dishes. For the other tasks, we have our own responsibilities for different rooms/tasks. It is not in the sexual department as well. She does not seem to be into having non-sexual intimacy either recently. Countless discussions and nothing in the end. It was not like that in the beginning, so I am not sure what happened. Marriage counseling and sexual therapy did not work either. She seems happy in the relationship and daily life, but I am not. We had sex only 2 times since the beginning of this year. She mentioned we should start trying to have kids at the beginning of this week, and I got annoyed. What am I? Something kept for only breeding? I will give her the divorce notice documents next Monday and I am torn. The relationship will end like that. I'll also leave the house as soon as possible. However, I'm sure I am doing both of us a favor in the long run. We should separate before having kids. Just wanted to vent and get an opinion from a neutral point of view. Relevant comments. OOP was asked if he and his wife had kids in the marriage. OOP. It is obvious the resentment would grow even more in the future. Having a child in that environment would be such a cruel thing to do. OOP having the divorce talks with his wife. OOP. I told her that I would consider divorce in our last talk, but she did not even believe it nor took it seriously. Also, I do not believe people should stay in a miserable position in any part of their life. Everyone has the right to leave and choose better for themselves. OOP responds to questions on the sex life with his wife. OOP. First 2 years of the marriage were good. After that, it started declining to a point of almost no sex. I do not think she is having an affair because there is no clue or something to make me suspicious. We are mostly together, and she did not give me any reason to be suspicious of. First 2 years were good. It's not that I woke up now. I just tried to fix it and change it for 2 years. In the end, nothing worked, and I decided to divorce. Parent, that's crazy that she's considering having kids with you, and you were considering divorce. 2 people living together, yet so far apart. Update, June 6, 2024. The first post can be found on my profile. I will keep this update short. She got the notice papers this Monday and was shocked. I explained to her in detail and thoroughly why I came to that decision. I pointed out every previous discussion we had, how there were no efforts from her side and we are simply incompatible in the end. There was crying and arguments again. I also told her I would be going back to my hometown to settle in my premarital house. It was my mom's, but after she passed away, we shared it January 2nd to January 2nd with my sister, though I gave my share to my sister later. We had to move to our current city due to my wife's job. A lot happened that day, but I will not give details as they were mostly personal. Next day, I started packing important things and suddenly, my wife became the most sexual person on the planet. She came to me with lingeries, sex toys, costumes, and approached me. I am going to be honest. I had a very hard time resisting, but rejected her advances every time. She is the woman I love and desire after all, but I do not think staying in this marriage will be healthy for either of us. I am currently staying at a hotel with my important belongings. I changed my passwords and handled other shared things. My sister will come next week to get me, and I believe I'll be staying at her place in our hometown for a while. At least until beds and furniture are delivered to the house. Some Redditors pointed out that she may be cheating on me, but she did not give me reason to be suspicious of. I trust her fully. I just wish we were more compatible in the intimacy department. She is trying to reach out to me, but I reject her calls and do not read her texts. I may need a few days of peace and silence to get myself ready for everything upcoming. Thank you for the advice and suggestions on the last thread. Take care. Relevant comments. OOP on what he plans to do once the divorce is finalized. OOP, dating is not the first thing in my mind right now. I need to settle in the new house, get used to it, and I am in the process of changing jobs after my notice. I need to handle these things to consider dating. Also, I do not think I will have a hard time meeting with new people. For the dating part, I do not know and I do not think it's realistic either. Commenter. Well done for being strong when she confronted you with everything you had been wishing she would. That was a good choice. Giving in would have prolonged this cul-de-sac in both of your lives and caused lots of harm in the end. New, number 7810. It's a little insulting that your ex-wife only became open to sex after you gave her divorce papers. It showed that she could have made an effort, but consciously chose not to. She considers her happiness worth the effort, but not yours. Proceeding with the divorce is the right thing to do. You're not the problem, your ex is. You can find happiness with someone else.
Moving to the second story. My partner wants to name our child after his recently deceased mother and I want to leave him because of it. My partner lost his mother in March. Suddenly, she took her breathing tube out of her nose to blow it, and because she was half asleep she forgot to put it back on and she drifted away. When she was found it was too late. It was peaceful and honestly is the way I would want to go, with nothing but peace and comfort. I found out I was pregnant 7 months prior. We had a name picked out. After her passing, however, he has decided to take it upon himself to change our child's name to her name. You know when a person gives a name such a bad taste in your mouth? That's what she did to this name. She wasn't a horrible person per se, but she wasn't the best. She had moments where she was wonderful, but most of the time she was, and please don't take this the wrong way because I hate to talk so about the dead, but she was a monster-in-law. She wouldn't take care of herself. She would get taken to hospital, get attention from her children, get back into good health, get sent home, and when things returned to normal and the attention would suffice, she would do it all over again. She needed her children's sole attention, always. She needed to feel important, wanted, needed. It made me feel bad and honestly broke my heart that she felt she needed to do this all the time to get any attention. Now she is gone, and as much as I loved her and miss her, and believe me I do not want that name associated with our child. I don't want to think about her every time I talk to our child. I don't want the stigma I have towards that name forced onto our child. We have actually argued over it. I have tried to compromise by making it a middle name. I have tried to add a name to it so it's one whole name, but he won't budge. I have told him we have a name already. He won't budge. I'm at a point where I want to leave him because it's being forced onto me and I don't want it. I want our child to have a name that has nothing to do with anyone we know. Our son has his stepdad's name as a middle name. Our daughter has his grandma's name as a middle name, and our oldest has his stepdad's mother's name as a first name. I want this child to have something simplistic and beautiful. I don't want to be reminded of someone who was so toxic to herself it ate away at others. Can someone give me some advice on what I can do? Please, I am at a loss. I honestly don't want to do this with him anymore because of how he is acting. I caved with every other child, but this name I cannot and will not cave on. I love the name that was already chosen. Edit, I am not a doormat. I find it rather cruel a few of you have said that. I agreed on our other children's names before they were born. I need advice on how to handle this without breaking his heart and being respectful and tactful, but also showing him this isn't a good idea. Also, I did love his mother. She was a very damaged individual and made it hard to love her, but I still did. I respected her and cared for her deeply. I find it horrible that's even being questioned. She did bad things, but that didn't make her a bad person, just a lonely, sad person who made mistakes. As for people saying if a name is a reason to separate, then you are a problem. It's not that at all. It's the fact that we had a name already chosen and he has now in the midst of grief changed it to a name that was never ever discussed, and I feel like I have zero say. It may be hormones prompting this. I want him to heal, I want to heal. Even his sister thinks it's a bad idea. I have him in grief counseling and she wants to help me with this. We will go together and apart. I will do all I can to stand by him during this process. I will not talk about the name any further with him until he has had some time to come to terms with things. I will continue on with our plans to name her what was originally agreed upon. Thank you guys. Relevant comments. Comment 1. His mother lived with his sister. She was perfectly content as that's what she wanted. As for her problems, she would eat things that were bad for herself and end up in the hospital knowing fully well they would put her there. She was on a strict diet from her doctor because of medical issues. When she would get to that point, she was honestly really bad. It ended up being a big fiasco. Usually it's a 3-day stint in the hospital with them doing a paracentesis and checking her fluid work. It got to where she was having them done continuously that she ended up getting referred to have them done monthly, and it was determined it was from all the salty food she was eating. She got to points where she would stop going to the table to eat because she wanted to watch the telly and get weak muscles in her legs, so she had issues moving, at one point becoming completely bed-bound. Multiple times she ended up in rehab facilities because she got to the point where she stopped doing anything and lost mobility and had to get it back with the help of specialists. Her daughter couldn't force her to do anything, and if she tried she would get my partner involved to argue with her, so she was stuck between a rock and a hard place. As for names, we both chose the first names and we both agreed on middle names. It was always a compromise on both of our parts. We always named each other, and if it was a name I didn't truly care for as a first name, we used it as a middle name, especially if it had meaning to him. We would find a name that fit with the other name that we both agreed on so it would flow nicely. As for me being an asshole about children's lives being solely on economic stability, I never stated that. I just stated I am able to afford another, so why shouldn't I? I grew up poor with 4 siblings and we struggled. I make sure we don't struggle, and I want a big family. My kids will hopefully never know how it was to live off of $50 a month with 4 kids and an adult food-wise. Comment 2. Hawkine DC. Hold on, he's already claimed the middle names of his family members for your 3 other kids. Am I reading this right? OP. We both agreed on them, yes. He loves his grandmother. She raised him and his sister. I never knew her, but everyone who did said she was the sweetest soul. I was happy to give our child her middle name. Our son had his stepfather's middle name. He was an absolute peach and he took me on as his own child, and I called him Dad. I waited 4 years to name our son after him. He has his middle name. Our daughter has his father's mother's name, and I love the name. It was honestly a name we had previously chosen, and the name, once we found that it was a family name, it was decided. We have a name picked for this child, but now he wants to completely change it and not compromise. I won't budge, and neither will he, so I'm just not going to talk or explain to him anymore. Our child will be named what we had originally agreed upon and nothing more. Comment 3. His mother wasn't the best person growing up, from what her daughter has stated in conversation. Made some bad mistakes that cost her a lot. I loved her dearly, but she always needed to be centered in everything. Our relationship was strained for a year after we got together, but we got through it and had a great relationship afterwards. She would pull ranks and turn siblings against each other to get what she wanted, even if it wasn't good for her. Drugs were a problem. Self-medicating was a problem. She acted like she had nothing when that wasn't the case. She loved the name we had picked for our daughter. We were extremely close and we actually asked what she thought. She loved her grandkids and myself very much, and us her. She never should have left so soon. It was an accident. I hate talking about her in this way because she is gone and you don't talk ill of the dead. I never resented her. Update. Hello guys, I know it's been a month, but I wanted to update you guys on the situation since I made my last post. Little backstory if you didn't know my situation. Partner decided to change our daughter's name without talking to me about it after his mother's recent passing, without even accepting a compromise, and I am tempted to leave him. Well guys, a big flip to our story. This whole time it's been confirmed as a girl until 2 weeks ago. We are having a little boy. Every ultrasound has been wrong. We went to my final appointment and the high-risk doctor confirmed we all have a little boy due in 2 weeks. It broke my heart to see him shut down in the office. He actually left my appointment. He became distant, so I sat down with him and we had a talk after our babies were sleeping. I'm going to give our son his mother's surname as a middle name. It cheered him up, but I get it's not the same. Things have drastically calmed down since we got his mom's ashes back. I bought him a beautiful necklace urn for Father's Day which has his mother's picture and a beautiful quote on it. He can have a little piece of her with him forever. He doesn't know about it yet, but I know he is going to love it. His therapy is going well, as is mine and as is our daughter's. We are all healing very well. We are stronger than ever. Thank you all for the good and bad. Relevant comments. Extreme Demon UK. It's clear this poor chap was hugely grief-stricken and was not thinking straight. Whatever the circumstances, I'm glad things have calmed down. Sounds like he is getting help to deal with his wife and is very fortunate to have such a lovely, caring wife. OP. Thank you so much. We are nowhere out of the woods yet, but we are trying to get through the issues at hand. As long as he is willing to fight to get mentally better, I will fight with him. Being pregnant and dealing with this has been hard. My emotions have been all over the place too, with dealing with our kids and him and hormones and being in and out of the hospital. It's been a battle, but him being active and wanting help and doing what's necessary has calmed everything down immensely. I'm just glad to have a slither of him back, and I'm sure with continued therapy I'll have the man I had come back to me. With my own therapy too, they have shown me that I wasn't 100% innocent in this, and that me giving in with our other children was a big problem that didn't help with this issue, and I take blame for that. I have been working to be able to not please people, and it's gotten to where I have boundaries now which I never thought would make me so happy, lol.